Okay, meeting will come to order. Do we have any minutes? We don't have minutes yet. Last two meetings? Correct, Mr.?
Yes.
All right.
They're forthcoming. Forthcoming.
Since everybody's here to speak to 32B, we're going to skip public speak. The mayor, you're going to speak for the administration on 32B. There's nothing else, right, Melissa?
I did ask the mayor if he had anything to say today.
And he said? And
he said that he hopes that you vote in support of the legislation.
That's the mayor, okay. Okay. So what I'm going to do here is, do you expect more people, Pat?
Jason's on his way, and
I think that's
Jim is outside talking to somebody.
Well, this is not going to be a very long meeting, so I hope you guys are ready to give us anything. What I want to do first is ask you, counselors, if we have any more questions of Melissa, or if anybody has questions of us, before I move on to then opinions from everybody on what you would like the Rules Committee to do. And then I'll ask for a motion of the Rules Committee, and then we'll debate it amongst ourselves. That's just 3 steps, okay? So I'd like to open it up to questions. Because we've had John Sybeck here for 2 meetings. I think we've had a lot of discussion, so. You guys have any questions?
I have one. This one I don't need necessarily the vote, so if you feel this is from Melissa. If you feel uncomfortable answering this, just say so. We'll call it good. What I'm looking for is any potential savings. Now, in the past, we said potential savings is unknown, but if we were to garner any savings from moving in this direction, how would it occur? Would we be doing design plan changes?
That's generally how it works, but it also may be that if we bid it out and we don't have all of the data to do an apples to apples bid against another carrier at this time from the trust. We're still waiting on our usage data, and there's a term for it, but I don't recall it. So it could either just be a transfer of the plan, but yes, we would look at design change.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Anybody else for questions for Melissa or for us?
You got any, Chuck? No.
Okay.
Will we be able to speak before you take your vote?
You just missed it. I'm going to move on to opinions from all of the people here. Don, you just came in. Do you have any questions of Melissa or anybody on this?
Well, I think this is one evening I'm just going to be quiet and observe.
Wow.
We are being recorded.
Everybody who just heard that on the TV, just remember this night.
It's not a real promise.
Okay. Then I'm going to move on to the opinion of what you would like the Rules Committee to do. And I'm going to start with the Insurance Advisory Committee. All of you can speak. One of you can speak.
I have a...
And I'll let Jason speak. Hopefully he's here before we get to a motion.
Okay. I believe I've been chosen to present this and speak.
Okay.
And I do have a hard copy as requested, a written...
There's only one copy?
Nope, I made multiple, because I figured everyone would want one. And I'll read it to you. That's okay?
I'll let you. I'll share it.
Would you like me to read it out loud?
Yes, for the record. It's
Okay.
on TV.
All right. So this is from...
Just read the letter.
Okay, from the Insurance Advisory Committee to the City Council regarding a recommendation for MGL Chapter 32B, Sections 21 through 23. Dear City Council, as requested, the City of Easthampton Insurance Advisory Committee has done extensive research on the proposed adoption of MGL Chapter 32B, Sections 21 through 23. It was requested that we submit a document to the City Council outlining our committee's position on this issue. It is the position of the City of Easthampton Insurance Advisory Committee that the City Council should not adopt MGL Chapter 32B, Sections 21 through 23. This position is based on the following reasons. Number 1, there is no time limit and/or penalty for the city if these sections are not adopted immediately. Number 2, these sections can be adopted at any time if needed. Number 3, our current process gives our committee ample time for research and investigation of proposed insurance plans and/or plan changes. This process currently involves the collaboration with all city departments and ultimately advises city officials on what is best for the city and its employees. Number 4, our current process, which has been in place since the early 1990s, has been extremely effective in helping the city be fiscally responsible, in so much that currently the city is showing an annual savings of $478,523 over the current GIC benchmark plan as outlined in MGL Chapter 32B, Sections 21 through 23. And for that, I would ask you to see the attached report from the city to the Executive Office for Administration and Finance. Respectfully submitted, City of Easthampton Insurance Advisory Committee, and we have our signatures on that.
Okay, I'd ask you to have a copy of this, give it to all the counselors. If you have 2 more, there are 2 other counselors here.
Okay.
And also provide a copy to Melissa.
Okay. I believe I have enough for, how many do we need?
Just one more.
One more?
One for Melissa.
And then,
Melissa, you're...
okay, I'm gonna give that, and I'll just have to make one more copy.
Well, that's okay, but then you have to give them to the other counselors.
Okay, I will make...
Since we're on the Insurance Advisory Committee, Jason just came in, I'm asking for opinions now. We started by asking for questions. If you have more questions, of course, we can still discuss that, but if anybody wants to also state opinion from the Insurance Advisory Committee beyond or in addition to what was just read. Anybody else?
Okay, if you look at the sheet, and the big thing is the Hampshire HCGIT is Hampshire County Group Insurance Trust, and in a grand total, the cost is $478,523 less than the benchmark plan.
Okay.
And the way it was computed, you can figure out from looking at the chart in the box.
Okay. Anybody else? The Insurance Advisory Committee. Sorry.
Okay.
Jim.
Yeah. Councilor Riss, I am not on the Insurance Advisory Committee. However, I've been appointed by the state as the representative for the retirees for the new committee that will be formed. Okay. And I would just like to make a short statement saying that I would request that we not adopt these sections 21 through 23 for the following reasons. The first one is that the insurance plan that we have in place at the present time has not seen an increase in several years, and they're working to try to maintain that, to keep it the same way. The second thing is that it has been announced again by the mayor that he is not going to be running again for mayor. And the reason that becomes important is once and if the city council approves this, from that point on, it is a done deal, which means that the city council is completely out of the picture. They have no say in anything after with the insurance, after that is done. And whoever the mayor might be, which we have no idea who it might be now, will have total authority to do anything that they want with the insurance. Yeah, so again, I have
That's
to
not
argue
true,
with
though.
the committee.
That is not true. You can't say that.
I'm sorry, what part of it's not true?
Well, I don't read it as that because there's a multi-level, municipal advisory board, which is an arbitrating panel.
Correct.
Which the administration has only one member on it. And I'll let you finish,
Yeah.
but to say that the mayor has total authority is simply, I think it's an exaggeration of fact.
all
It's
right.
not true.
I'll agree with that.
Because that's a big issue for me, too.
Yeah.
All right? I just want you to know, I don't think that's true.
Well, I'll agree with, I understand where you're coming from on that. It is true in the respect that you're presenting it. If they don't come to agreement within that 30-day period, then it goes to that 3-member committee and they will decide, you know, where it goes from there.
Right.
So that is correct. I should have phrased it differently and to say that the council will be removed from the input into any of the the insurance. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, I
Okay,
agree.
okay.
But we never do have any authority over collective bargaining or anything else anyway. It's not a change in that sense.
Yes, we do. We can deny the budgetary vote,
We could do that, that's true, which we could still do.
which forces them back to the
Well,
table.
we can still,
And the last thing is that this can be adopted at any time. If you're 6 months down the road and the need arises, or the council feels the need arises, you can bring it up again, and it could be adopted at any time. The timing of it is what worries me more than anything else, because of the unknown territory that we're going to get into once the mayor leaves. And that's all I have to say.
good, very good, thank you. Anybody else on the Insurance Advisory Committee, anybody else?
Yeah, I'd like to make a brief statement.
Sure, Jason.
Yeah, I'd ask not to adopt 21 through 23 at this time. One of the concerns is the 30 days and how fast, rapid things can happen once we adopt this. And I would just ask that, council just look at the fact that the Insurance Advisory Board, which I've been on over 8 years now, we've been financially responsible as far as health insurance in this town goes. And if you look at, I know health insurance isn't cheap anywhere, but our town, we do very well and we provide good healthcare coverage at a very low cost. As you can see with the statements that you have today and the paperwork that you have, we've worked very hard to make sure that it stays there. And if there is a point where it comes that we cannot do that, then we would definitely come back to you and, all you should know, that's the first thing that we're going to do and reconsider adopting it. But at this time, and since I've been on the board, it's always been, good healthcare and at a low cost. Considerable for health insurance, considering,
Okay. Anybody else? Finance Director Zawadzki, I'd like you to it's your proposal, I'd like you to tell us everything you'd like to say about it.
Well, I'd just like to respond to a couple things. It's true that against the benchmark, and I did fill out the report, so I know exactly what it says, but it's true that against the benchmark that there is a savings to the GIC, but if I picked a different plan that's not the benchmark, we could save $800,000. The variation in those plans and their cost is dramatic. So against the benchmark, we're doing well. Against another plan, we're doing not as well. So the 21 through 23 does not require that we go to the GIC. It only requires that we look at our plan, we compare it to the GIC, and we do better. Well, maybe we can do better than 400,000 or 500,000. Maybe we can do better than that. That's all I'm saying. And as far as, I agree that, the trust is a good plan right now, but if we're worried about change, there's big change going on at the trust. So why would we sit around and wait for it to fall apart there? Like, you're saying, well, we can't do this now because there might be different leadership. Well, there's different leadership right now at the trust. We don't know what's going to happen in the next few years. So I don't think that waiting until all of a sudden it's not a good plan anymore or a good fit for us anymore is the right thing to do. If it continues to be a good fit for us, we would stay there.
Okay. Anybody else? Well, there's nobody else here. Don?
I know I promised I wouldn't speak. You were just talking that you could save between $500,000 to $700,000 by going into this, right? With another, let me see if I understand that correctly. Because you're not going to use the benchmark, you're going to go out to another vendor and you're going to bid the job and save that money, or what?
No, I'm saying that if we go out and we bid the job, we may save money, we may not. And if we don't save money, we don't move. But what I'm saying is the report to the Administrative Finance picks one of several plans in the GIC. It picks what they call the benchmark plan, which at this time is the most popular plan. There are other plans in the GIC. One of those plans, the Health New England plan, we could save $800,000. But that assumes that everyone enrolls in that plan, which it won't. That report assumes everyone enrolls in the benchmark plan, which in truth is unlikely in Western Mass. This is a bad plan for us because of the like, I looked up those doctors, there's like 3 doctors in 20 miles or something, so it's not a good plan for Western Mass. So it's the most popular plan at the GIC, but it's certainly not the most popular plan for this area. It's not the plan that Cybeck's on.
Okay. Don, just to,
No, they're not the same. They are not the same.
Don, just to try and catch you up. This section 21 to 23, adopting this healthcare plan, is looking at savings for cities and towns as compared to the Group Insurance Commission, is that right, Commission? Group Insurance Commission, GIC, which has 10 or 12 plans which subscribers can join. If we join that, what Melissa is saying is, depending on which plan people choose, there might be considerable savings. Obviously, the more cities and towns that join that plan. But that's a comparison. We're not obliged to join the GIC. We have the right to stay in the Hampshire Trust as long as we can show and demonstrate savings versus the benchmark plan, which, as she said, is the plan that is most used at the GIC right now, the one that most people subscribe to. They use that as a benchmark. So if Pat's comments and the letter from the Insurance Advisory Commission is true, and I believe it is, we're already saving $478,000, there would be no real need necessarily to change out of the Hampshire Trust. So that's where we are right now. I don't know if that helps you, but did I say something wrong?
Great degree, but the thing of it is, where I got confused with this is, if there's more savings out there, why don't they approach these people to adopt that plan if they're getting the same coverage?
Well,
That's what we're doing.
Well,
That's what we're doing.
so you can clarify, it wouldn't be the same coverage.
well, right now we're comparing to the GIC. The GIC is not the same coverage as we have right now, at all. I'm not even going to pretend that it is. But part of what this, it's a different way to negotiate health insurance. It means that, and so we could look at an apples-to-apples plan, and maybe it's cheaper, maybe it's not, but we haven't done that in a while, and we're going to. Or we could look at an apples to oranges plan where it's slightly different, but maybe not as different as our plan is to the GIC. We might come somewhere in the middle, and there might be savings. There might not. I'm just saying, look at it.
Wait, Don, Justin wanted to respond to you.
Just so you know, so we're clear here, and you're going to correct me if I'm wrong. Chapter 21 is what we're adopting. When we adopt that, it is implicit that we're adopting 22 and 23. Chapter 21 is the process. 22 is for the process we use for design plan changes. 23 is to join the GIC. To join the GIC, we have to demonstrate a 5% savings based on the benchmark plan. So that we're not going there, because we can't demonstrate that. So the only possible way, this is why I asked that question early on, is that if we accept Chapter 21, we'd have to look at a way of design plan changes, which means, in my mind, that we'd have to find some way to either increase deductibles, increase co-pays, or reduce certain items over what we currently have. That's how I see this. In order to meet or so say approach the savings that Melissa's talking about.
Which is still negotiable. So it's negotiable through the arbitration panel.
For those who have never negotiated, you can use the term negotiable. But in my experience in negotiations, it generally takes more than 30 days to get everybody at the table, never mind.
Well, that's after that. After the 30 days is up and nobody agrees, then you go to this panel.
Right, so nobody...
I agree, the 30 days, I think that should be changed, but that could be done at any time in the future. Councilor Hagan.
I just had one thing of clarification as someone who's in the GIC plan myself, in response to what the finance director said about Tufts the Navigator plan, there are also, she's quoted this additional savings for Health New England, there's also more expensive plans in the GIC that could be used to show even greater savings for the city. I mean, I just want to throw that out, this is just a benchmark, but there's more expensive plans in GIC that would show the savings in the city are even greater. And, Health New England, I think, might be one of the cheaper plans, but I just wanted to, bring that out, that it's not, it's not that Tufts is the most expensive GIC plan, so your savings could be even greater if you compared it, if they used a different benchmark.
You can't, we have to compare it to the benchmark.
No, I know it has to be compared. I'm just saying that if you're going to say you could save more by using a different GIC plan to show greater savings, you could also show increased savings by...
No, I totally agree with you, and that's what I'm saying. It's sort of an arbitrary comparison, because when people enroll, they enroll in, whatever the group that fits them best,
Right now, currently in the plan that we're in, if we were in the same plan with the GIC, it would be $478,000 more.
No, it's not the same plan.
The Tufts Navigator is the benchmark plan, which actually, right, and it's not even as good a coverage, but it would be $478,000 more.
Right, but
than what we're paying.
But if I pick,
Right,
I could pick
I understand that, but I'm saying, she said we should save $600,000 to $800,000 if we compare with New England, and I'm just saying that if there's more expensive GI would show you're even saving more.
Oh, right.
That was my only point.
Let's
Thank
keep
you.
it one at a time. Jim?
An important point to keep in mind, I think, though, is that if we were to go to the GIC, they don't offer a +1 program.
I made those comparisons and I rolled everybody up. You know what I mean? Like when I did the comparison, that's what we do. We put everyone that's a +1 in a family, like that's when you do the comparison. And some
Right.
family plans are less expensive than our +1s. Most are not.
Right.
But,
and we have like 93 people, if I remember
93.
correct, 93 people that utilize the +1 plan that are now going to have to go into a family plan or get 2 singles or some other, so that's not only going to cost the employees more, it would cost the town more too for a family plan versus the +1 plan where we're at.
I agree. But I just want to state for the record that the reason we're even looking at this is to see if there's a way in which we can save the city taxpayers money and not in healthcare without losing tremendous design plan changes. With negotiation, there might be radical changes, but it's about saving funding. So if there was no savings, what I'm getting at is if what you just said is there's no savings, or if the Hampshire Trust is still showing $478,000 in savings, it doesn't make sense that the city would go to a more expensive plan that costs the city more money. It doesn't make sense to me that that would happen. So, in other words, I think the Hampshire Trust plan is safe as long as we can demonstrate that it's saving money, and I think it is right now, but that may change, that's all I'm saying. So, in other words, I agree with you from the point of view that if it's too much money, the city's not going to adopt it.
Right. But the city isn't mandated to go into the GIC. I mean, they could look for another insurance plan that was dirt cheap.
There's a lot of protections in here that protects the city's employees. It's not just thrust upon you, it just can't be. But anyway, let's go ahead.
I think though that the plan design, whoever you, like if you went direct or with another trust group or straight to a health insurance company, the design, the GIC is the base. Like it can be, it can look exactly like the GIC or better, but it can't, like the deductibles can't be higher and the co-pays can't be higher than the GIC. I think it says it in there. So,
Right.
So, if you look at our plan right now and you look at maybe even one design change, maybe that saves $200,000. Maybe it doesn't, but why not look?
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead. She has to
Well,
speak.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the purpose of the 32B committee, I thought, to look for better savings for the town. So why would you, if you have a good working 32B committee, why would you have to adopt these?
I believe the administration would say that the relationship in the past has not been a good working relationship.
Well, if the administration wanted to work with us, it would be a fine one.
I'm saying this, well, never mind.
Right, and I think, and
Hampshire trustee did it.
right, and
Come back again.
I have from very reliable sources that the mayor has been meeting with Health New England, and he has been seeing what their plans are like. So we already know what route he's going to take if we get on this board. If we do the board, he's going to want to go to Health New England. We're going to hold out for the 30 days and have to go to the
panel. And the panel has only one member on it that is an administration.
Right.
All I'm saying is, I hear what you're saying, and I think we're still harping on that the mayor has all this authority. It doesn't. The administration doesn't have any more authority than
I understand, but why is he already looking at other health insurances?
They can look and propose something. They can
well, maybe
propose
he
something,
should talk
but
to the 32B committee and we would look at it.
That's not what we're here for now. I'm sorry. You had something to say, sir?
Essentially, I was going to say the same thing. Looking at it, and if you're looking for opinions, in listening to Senator Seibach, Representative Seibach, he even said in his own words, this is something that was really more for the eastern part of the state. We have shown, Melissa has shown, the city has shown financial responsibility for I don't know how many years at this point when it comes to insurance. Otherwise, the city would be held accountable for that. Mm-hmm. And we've shown the savings, and we have a process that's been in place. We have, kind of reiterating, a board that works very well. I think there's a difference in opinions on how well we played together, but I think the way it's been working is reflected in these numbers and what we've shown here and what Melissa has shown on paper as well. The other part that I don't like about this new law is if there is a disagreement, there is that 3-member committee, one basically from the administration, one from basically the employees, the third would be from the state. So if you look at all three, the city and the employees are going to wash each other out because essentially they've already can't come to an agreement, which leaves the ultimate decision to that third person who is representing the state, who's going to make the decision based on whatever is best for the state and not necessarily what's best for the town and its employees. So I would much rather have it here with a committee who can work well. Maybe there is some back and forth, but at least it's still in our hands and it still stays within the city and does not allow somebody from the state to ultimately dictate what the end result is. That's the way I look at it.
Okay. Anybody else? Council? Okay, then I'm going to, because I think we've wrapped up, do you guys have anything else you want to ask? Because what I want to do is set a motion and then debate it amongst the committee. That's all right with councilors here? Then I'll make the motion in the positive to adopt chapters 32B, section 21 through 23 as presented by the city's finance director. Need a second.
Second.
Okay. Discussion. I want to start. This has been extremely difficult for me because I hear what everybody's saying. I am going to support the treasurer's position on this because I believe I have to ultimately represent the city's taxpayers, but I heard everybody and it was difficult. But I also know, and in my strong opinion, that there are enough protections in this new law, and especially influenced by Representative Seibach. And you may be right that it's not necessarily needed on this side of the state, but it was presented to us, and I'd like to support the finance director. And I'm going to read this because I had to write it all down, and please bear with me. Your patience, please. I am supporting the adoption of this statute as I believe the city and its taxpayers must be protected from future health care increases so that costs don't result in more cuts to personnel and services. Here's my reasons. The bill was sponsored by John Seibach, co-written by him and the committee he chairs. Throughout his career, he has been a friend to labor. This bill and our decision should not be considered adversarial. In fact, the state labor leaders eventually helped write it and agreed to it. The current Insurance Advisory Committee has demonstrated a desire, as you've stated tonight, to defray health care costs as well. So it doesn't have to be an adversarial position, even if this is adopted. Representative Sybeck feels the adoption of this law will save cities and towns substantially, and savings are already far above projections statewide. Over $170 million saved for cities and towns. Indeed, many cities and towns are seeing substantial savings. The city of Northampton recently adopted this law, so there's someone locally that has done so. There are strong employee protections in place, and this is why I feel it's safer to do this than it was originally when we thought the mayor had all the authority. There's ample room for negotiation. The provisions established under Section 21, the adoption of municipal health care review panel, which will act as an arbitrator if negotiations stall, is a fail-safe to changes being dictated by the administration. The panel consists of 3 members, professionals, and I quote the law, in dispute negotiations, only one of which is chosen by the administration. Savings in any proposed change must be substantiated and documented by the administration to this panel's satisfaction, or the plan is thrown back to the administration for negotiation. I think that's a big protection. Under Section 22, the Hampshire Trust, our current healthcare administrator and plan provider, remains a viable option provided it can demonstrate comparable savings, as you've stated it has, to like plans or to benchmark in the GIC. Therefore, there is good reason to believe that this law will not need to be implemented immediately, but it should be in place if costs suddenly escalate. All the city's employees are subject to the same health insurance plan, and any cost increases, this includes the mayor, the finance director, and all the other members of the administration. In other words, this isn't being thrust on the employees. Finance Director Zawadzki and everybody in the administration and the pay plan employees all have to pay this health care. So any plan design changes that's important to understand for me anyway. The new system is a game changer in that previous negotiating positions and attitudes for all parties would need to reflect the new situation. The law does not change the ability for unions to collectively bargain the percentages of premium members would pay. Given the law substantially changes the way health care plans are determined by the city, it is clear that it is legitimate to accept that premium distribution can be fairly negotiated for all new union contracts in order to mitigate any new cost increases. So healthcare costs are not completely removed from collective bargaining in the future. Premium percentages are still available to be negotiated. Section 22E provides for that any proposal must mitigate unusually high out-of-pocket expenses for employees and that savings be distributed to subscribers to help with costs. Without this authority in place, should the city face substantial increases in healthcare costs, the timing of reevaluating, adopting these sections would most likely take at least 1 fiscal year. It would need our new council review, subject to enrollment deadlines. Without this tool or having healthcare options in place, the city would be hard-pressed to maintain existing personnel levels. Indeed, the cost may result in additional reduction in staffing affecting all departments. We have an obligation to the taxpayers to provide the services they expect: public safety, public works, quality education. Indeed, we also have an obligation to give the best affordable health care to our employees. But it is that affordability that has to be determined by cities and towns in concert with its employees. In other words, unless we keep healthcare costs in shape, there will be layoffs in the future to mitigate that, and I don't want to have that happen. Finally, I want to say that trust has been a big issue in all healthcare negotiations. The lack of trust between our unions and the current mayor exhibited on both sides has been a barrier to better communication and negotiation in the past. Since the current mayor has announced his departure, implementation of 32B sections 21 through 23 can be looked at as part of a new beginning for the city and its employees. I look at that as a change, a positive. Gentlemen.
You can go first. You say a lot if you want to.
Sorry, I had to say too much.
Okay. I'll be brief. Basically, I champion the clause that we have a current system that I don't see is broken. Why are we trying to fix it? I reported a number of times that any potential savings is unknown. It doesn't seem everybody's willing to go forward unless the vote is to approve this or not. So I looked at it as a little cloud in the dark. I take issue with the cost versus layoff statement, because the history we've seen in the past has been, the latest example was that we have currently in front of us is the assessor's office, where we had a substantial, so to say, unknown cost that we are covering through other sources. So we do that on a regular basis. All of a sudden now, when it comes to this particular item, where you hear this discussion about, well, if we can't save money, then we're going to lay people off. So I see that as a little disingenuous, the discussion of what we're doing and where we're trying to go. I looked at this as, I'd be hard-pressed if we were to take our plan and move that into a GIC plan. I would be hard-pressed if we could demonstrate a substantial savings. We're not able to do that, and that's what's shown right here. Okay, and I will also state that, because I have pontificated on this in the past, that I value our employees considerably, and there are many of us who have said so throughout the years, and I truly believe that if I do value the employees, that this is one thing that I am going to vote strongly against, and will not vote in favor of this. There are a number of other things that we could take along the line. I'm just not, just to make it simple, I don't see our plan as, our current system is broken, so I see no absolute reason to change it. That's it. Yeah, next.
Well, I'm pretty much along the same lines. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I question, though, anytime the state is trying to have us do anything. I think we should take care of our own. If it's a good thing, our health insurance is good, our employees are good, it should remain in collective bargaining. And if the new mayor, when he or she arrives, decides they need to change something, then they can look at it. But the Insurance Advisory Committee can also just, or the administration can go out and start soliciting some plans. And say, you know what, 6 months or a year from now to the employees in the contract, say, look, we have this plan, it's going to cost X, and then we can let them decide if it's going to save us a lot of money. I just question any time the state wants to put their fingers into something, the flag goes up, because usually whatever they're doing now, there's another move 3 steps down the line. And with all the healthcare changes and stuff that are maybe going to happen, let's ride it out and see what happens. Let's not anticipate the sky's falling, and we need to change it now and jump in. Let's wait and see what it is. And that's, I'll stand with against it.
The only thing I want to say is that I value our employees as much as you do. And I take issue with the notion that because I'm in favor of a change that will save the city's taxpayers money, or potentially can, that somehow I don't value what it means to our employees, because I do. This is a very difficult issue. I just want to make sure that every employee in this room knows that, because that is not fair. I value you, but I have an obligation to the city's taxpayers first. If I think we could eventually, in the future, I'm not saying now, need to do this. And I am worried that we will lose a whole year if we suddenly have a $500,000 increase in our insurance. And maybe you're right, we won't, but I've been advised by people I trust that that could happen. So I just want to make sure everybody knows that this has not been easy, but I'm supporting the finance director. So we have apparently a 2-to-1 no. I'm going to ask for a vote. I'll say yes.
No.
No?
No.
Okay, the vote is 2-to-1 against recommendation, and I'll ask you two guys to give a majority opinion at the public hearing on November 7th. I know you're not going to be there, so if you want to write one up that check and read or something, that's up to you.
To or edit, I'll try to do that.
Okay.
Yeah, that'd be good if you could do that before you leave, because I know you won't be here after that. And I'll do a minority opinion.
So for those present, I'll be out of the hospital then, but I won't be in any shape to make any...
You sure you don't want to
Yeah, the fire department carry it.
You sure you don't want to hobble in? These guys will probably bring you in a wheelchair for
Bring in a
you
stretcher so I
to make a vote and then leave. They used to do that to that West Virginia senator, remember? What's his name, Byrd? They used to wheel him in.
Don't even cook you a meal before we bring you in.
Yeah.
That might be considered bribery.
So,
Anyway,
so I won't be there, but I'll adjust my opinions to Chet and encourage people to come and address their own
Make a
issues.
copy of your reasons.
I want to write, I want
And
to
please
write.
remember that
I'll give you
the vote is
my
what it
minority
is.
opinion
At
will
the
be better written and you can put it in the record. You don't have to.
Okay.
Present this like...
You don't have to put it in the minutes. It'll be.
This we made part of the, all the city councilors will get this in a packet that I assume Council Risk will put together.
Well, either what I would hope I could do that, but I would hope you guys,
Just send it anyway, so it's part of the...
I would put it in with that, and I'll notify everybody when
You know what the easiest way is? Is just to give a copy of this to Barbara and have her put it on the agenda package.
I'll try to do that, to put it in the agenda packet for the November 7th meeting, along with my minority opinion. If you guys write a majority opinion, then we can put it all together. How about if we do that? So
We're gonna
try to before, that's 3 weeks, guys. Thursday, there's 3 weeks between the meetings, by the way.
I'm done on Monday. It's only 1 week for me.
Yeah, and you're busy building a basement or something.
No, I got that all done.
Sir, my question was, did you want me to come and address and read this opinion to
It's a
the...
public hearing.
to the city
You are
council?
certainly welcome, and you should come to state your opinion to the full council.
Okay.
Although there's 5 of us here, there's only 4 others. So.
You should come to represent yourself.
Okay, sir.
Absolutely,
Thank
but, and you could read this and then be ready for questions. I would ask that the Insurance Advisory Committee, if you're going to be the delegate.
Yes, sir.
Everybody's entitled to speak, but if he could be the primary, then other councilors can direct questions to you.
Okay.
All right?
Do you need any further copies of this then?
No, I'm going to give it to,
You have the original, just so you know.
yeah, but I circled it. Let me have yours here. I'm going to give this to Barbara to copy and provide it to all the councilors. But I want to do it after I write my minority and their majority opinion. Okay? So, move for adjournment? All in favor? Aye. Okay.
Thank you for all your
Thank
time on
you
this,
for the
gentlemen. I
time. It
appreciate
was hard.